Hey guys! So it's that time of year again. I heard college applications just opened, so the UC app specifically just opened a few days ago. So I know a lot of you guys are probably starting to think about your college essays, and so I thought it might be helpful for me to read out my UC essays from this past application cycle, and hopefully it might be some sort of reference or resource for you guys. And so these are the essays that helped me get into 6 UCs, so UCLA, UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, UC Irvine, UC Santa Cruz, and UC Riverside. Obviously I'm not an admissions expert or anything. If you're applying to a UC in the near future, this might be something helpful for you to watch. And if you're not applying to a UC, then watch this video anyway because I need the ad revenue. You know, I'm about to become a broke college student. It's tough for us out here.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would.
But anyway, I'm just going to be reading my stuff off my laptop here. And also, some of these might be like a little bit dramatic. I apologize if they're somewhat cheesy. And also, in my essays, I refer to things like my school and organizations around me by their names, but like I'm probably going to just vaguely refer to the names when I read it out because privacy. Also, hi, I'm popping in from editing the video right now, and so I was listening to it and I realized that my voice was kind of like weak at times because I guess like I just woken up when I was filming and like my voice just wasn't like super ready. Anyway, back to the video. In case you're not familiar, the UC application has 8 essay prompts and you have to choose any 4 of them to respond to. So the first prompt I chose was describe an example of your leadership experience in which you have positively influenced others, helped resolve disputes, or contributed to group efforts over time. So I said, when I became president of my school's computer science first club in junior year, the club had only existed for a year. My vision was to dramatically expand the club, establish greater reach on campus, and increase computer science interest. As someone who loves expressing myself creatively, I found computer science to be an amazing way to do so, due to how it allows me to create incredible things from just a few lines of code. My imagination is the only limit. Through expanding the club, I wanted to share that fascination with a greater group on campus. To do so, I restructured how the club operates. To fix our lack of active members, I introduced a system of after-school meetings to teach a Python programming curriculum, providing members with a unique opportunity to learn important skills from our club. Another problem was that many students interested in computer science were curious but uninformed about the possibilities of pursuing it as a career. To give them important insight, I invited multiple professional software engineers to speak to members about their experiences in the career field. One of the most important things I learned as president during this process was how to accommodate different personalities in a way that creates a productive environment for everyone. Our officer team was a mix of people who often had different opinions, and I learned to work to stop conflict by creating an open and approachable environment. For example, when we ran into disagreements, I coordinated meetings to collectively discuss the topics in question before we agreed on compromises that combine the strengths of all of the ideas. Today, I often hear members talk about how much they enjoy and learn from our club events, and it's been extremely rewarding seeing my efforts pay off in motivating others to fall in love with computer science in the same way I did. So that's my first essay. I would say that I mostly just chose one specific leadership experience I had and really just drilled down talking only about that instead of trying to reach like a bunch of different examples of my leadership. So I'd say when you're trying to write these essays, try to think of specifics and go deeper rather than just broadly talking about a lot of things but not really going in detail as much. For the second prompt, the question was, every person has a creative side and it can be expressed in many ways: problem solving, original and innovative thinking, and artistically, to name a few. Describe how you express your creative side. So this is what I said. My creative side manifests itself through my love for innovative thinking. I enjoy pushing the boundaries of what's possible to create things that haven't been done yet, constantly venturing into uncharted territory and implementing new ideas. One example of this is my journey of founding a community teen magazine from scratch. Growing up, I've always loved to write, draw, and create during my free time. And as a kid, I'd staple together pieces of paper and write and draw in them to create my own books and magazines, which I'd eagerly distribute to family, friends, classmates, and even teachers. Oh yeah, I used to distribute my books to my kindergarten teacher. I daydream about running a publication where people like me could share their creative work to a larger audience, and at the time, my unofficial magazines were a way for me to make that happen. When I reached high school, I envisioned turning my idea into something much more tangible, a community magazine where teens could submit artistic and creative work, such as stories, poems, photographs, and paintings, for publication. Although the idea was new, far-fetched, and required a lot of logistics, I was excited to try. I reached out to my local library and proposed the idea of running such a publication there. I met with a teen librarian to explain my vision, discussing the many steps involved in creation of the magazine, and soon we were seriously working towards the publication of our first issue. After a long process of obtaining funding, recruiting editorial staff, marketing, editing, and more, the debut issue came out in spring 2018. I remember carrying boxes of copies to school, feeling really proud that I'd turned an idea in my head into something real I could hold in my hands. Since then, I've continued to expand the magazine. We're now a team of 22 staff members from 5 high schools. Looking back, I know my 5-year-old self would have been proud of the way I transformed her daydream into a reality. You can run with these prompts however you want, as long as you feel that it still sufficiently relates to the question and it gives you a good chance to really express yourself. Like, I knew I wanted to talk about this magazine because it was probably my biggest passion project, or one of my biggest passion projects throughout high school, and I really wanted to talk about like what I learned from it and like how it caused me to develop as a person. So my third one was, what have you done to make your school or your community a better place? So I said, growing up, I've been fortunate to have had access to many academic opportunities. I've always believed in giving back to the community in a similar way, contributing to providing accessible and quality educational opportunities to those around me. My achievements today wouldn't have been possible without help from my community, and I'm passionate about making others' learning experiences as fulfilling as it's been for me. One way has been through helping younger students. For 2 years, I volunteered as an after-school math tutor at blank elementary school. To create a fun and productive environment, I welcomed every student's ideas with a positive attitude, stressing that there's no such thing as a stupid question. I also encouraged them to learn from their mistakes rather than feel discouraged. At the start of each year, there were certain students who were shyer and more hesitant than their peers, and I worked extensively to help those students gain confidence by walking them step by step through questions they were confused about and praising them on their achievements, no matter how small. It was extremely rewarding to see these students' transformations as they learn new concepts and gain faith in their abilities. Through working with these students, I learned the importance of fostering empathy and ensuring everyone feels welcomed and valued. I've also worked hard to make educational opportunities more accessible for disadvantaged students, wanting them to know their potential isn't defined by obstacles they may face. As a chapter director of blank organization, a nonprofit providing students in underprivileged areas with free computer classes, I created a web design course. Knowing we'd work with students from a variety of backgrounds and experience levels, I made classes as welcoming as possible by choosing helpful and approachable instructors in order to foster a non-intimidating learning environment. The result was a curriculum that's rigorous but also provides students with support whenever needed. Few things are more satisfying than seeing students be positively affected by your actions, and I'm proud to see how far students have grown and developed as a result of my involvement. So for this one, I broke it down into 2 examples, unlike my first one where I just talked about one thing and that was it. So I'd say it's okay to cover multiple topics if you really want to go for that, but you just want to make sure that you are going enough into depth so that you're not just like introducing a topic and leaving it hanging. And finally, the last question was, beyond what has already been shared in your application, what do you believe makes you stand out as a strong candidate for admissions to the University of California? So you can answer this however you want, but here's what I said. I love taking on new experiences, goals, and challenges with an eager and unafraid attitude, and I'm willing to take risks and venture out of my comfort zone to do so. This is seen through my journey of successfully overcoming my shyness, one of my biggest achievements throughout high school. It's hard to imagine now, but being shy used to be a significant challenge that held me back greatly from doing things I was interested in. However, the night before my first day of freshman year, I wrote a long entry in my journal about what I hoped to achieve in high school, promising to overcome my shyness by the end of high school. As high school started, I pushed myself to talk to new people, sign up for clubs I liked, and actively join school events that interested me. Initially, it was very difficult as ambition and fear faced off constantly inside of me. But as time went on, my strong resolve started emerging as a clear winner. The more I pushed myself, the more rewarding it became. Soon, the nervous butterflies in my stomach started turning into excitement instead. I no longer dreaded meeting new people. I even gathered the courage to become a staff journalist for the school newspaper, which I'd always wanted to do but had been too scared of because of the interviewing and socializing involved. Around the start of junior year, I realized I was no longer daunted by going outside of my comfort zone. I'd come to enjoy it, and I love the exhilaration of trying new things. Flash forward to today. I am an active leader in many activities I love and have always wanted to participate in. Recently, I once again found that journal entry from 3 years ago, in which I'd vowed to overcome my shyness. Reading it, I was hit by an intense sense of achievement. To the pre-high school version of myself, hey look, I made it. And to the future college version of myself, I can't wait to see how you'll further break out of your comfort zone to achieve even bigger things. So that's my last essay. So this one, I would say that I really tried to think about my entire 4 years in high school, and for me, I thought of like what was the biggest theme of the past 4 years, and for me it was definitely just venturing out of my comfort zone and going into things that I hadn't tried before, and it definitely had a great payoff. So I just really wanted to emphasize that in my last essay. I would recommend you guys choose this prompt because it's a great chance to demonstrate whatever you want to demonstrate, and maybe some of the other prompts might not give you the same opportunity that this one does, because this one is just like whatever you want to talk about, you can talk about it. But yeah, those are all 4 of my personal insight questions. Hopefully that was of some help. I would recommend start thinking about what you want to write about early on. You don't have to have drafts at this point. You don't have to write anything out at this point, but just thinking about it, keeping that thought in the back of your mind, like, oh, what could I write about? And what helped me is just make a list of all the things you've done in high school, or all the things that have been significant to you throughout high school, and then try to like weave a story from that. Because I'm sure every single person has a story, but you just want to figure out how to tell it, if that makes sense. Look at all the things you've done, see what you can make of it, and as you start to solidify your ideas, you can start writing. Don't be afraid to write a bunch of drafts. Like, I wrote so many drafts that I ended up all scrapping, and that's okay because it helped me organize my ideas and my thought process. So just don't expect your first draft to be even like remotely close to what you end up submitting, and that's like totally fine. But you just have to take the plunge and write stuff. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to hit me up on Instagram or in the comments. Either is fine. And I'm not an expert or anything, so I'm not going to charge anything. But if you just need like an extra pair of eyes to look at your essay, I'd be down to just read it for you. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck on those essays, and I'll see you next time.